Dr. Stan here at the Genesis Communication Network, coming to from the hills overlooking beautiful and picturesque Monterey Bay and bringing you the news behind the news, the story behind the story. Hoping to convince you that reality is usually scoffed at, that illusion is usually king. But in the battle for survival of Western civilization, it's got to be reality and not illusion or delusion that will determine what the future will bring. And I need to remind you the views expressed here are not necessarily those of the owners, management, staff, sponsors, or supporters of the station you're listening to. They happen to be my views. And well, for the next hour, they're going to be the views of our good friend Lindsey Williams. But before we get to that, I just want to talk about the vote in Iowa and the effort to make Ron Paul look like a weak individual with no foreign policy because he doesn't want to go to war with Iran. And basically, of course, you have to understand that they're trying to manipulate us into a war with Iran, just as they manipulated America into the Spanish-American War back in 1898 with the story that the war had come about because the Spanish had sunk this battleship Maine. It was a lie. Then they got us into the First World War with the atrocity stories about the wicked Huns, raping the Belgian women and cutting off their breasts with the bayonets and cutting off the hands of the little helpless Belgian boys, and it was all a lie. I'll never forget talking to a gentleman who joined the American Expeditionary Force in 1917. Because he believed the propaganda, and he fought there in many of the battles on the Western Front, and well over half the men in his unit were killed. And when they finally got to Belgium, there were no little boys with their hands cut off, no women with their breasts cut off. It was a lie. It was the propaganda. Now, of course, you can justify World War II until you understand that it was American corporations and American banks and American oil companies that actually funded the German Wehrmacht not only before but during the war. Where do you think the German submarines got their oil when they were out at sea so that they could sink American ships? Why, from Exxon tankers, Standard Oil tankers. I mean, who built their weapons for them? General Motors, General Electric, Ford, IBM, ITT, 100 American corporations, all during the war, headed by Americans who were there in Germany, building the weapons to kill our boys. But if you didn't have an enemy, how could you have a war? And who installed the Ayatollahs in Iran in preparation for where we are today? Go back to 1979. America overthrew the Shah. They had been financing the Ayatollah Khomeini. They used the same Ayatollahs to overthrow the Shah that they used to overthrow Mossadegh. And you can be sure we have our people planted at the highest levels of the Iranian government today because there's a timetable and they want a war. And you better understand that the last thing we need at this time, either morally or financially, is a war. The war will bankrupt America. We're spending 40 cents out of every dollar we spend. 43 cents out of every dollar we spend has to be borrowed today. Do you honestly believe you can continue doing that? No, the people in charge want to wreck our economy and impoverish our people. And somebody's got to stand up and say it. And we see all the people out here, supposedly good conservatives and good Christians, all pushing for war. Why would any rational person want a war with Iran? Even the chief of the Israeli Mossad has recently said, the former chief of the Mossad has said, there's no evidence that Iran is close to building a bomb. In fact, there's no evidence they're actually trying to build a bomb. Check it out on the Internet. At least there's a little truth there. But right now, let's get to our special guest, Lindsey Williams, because he has lots to say about the dire times we're living in. Hi, Lindsey. How are we doing?
Dr. Stan, the listeners to your program are such privileged people because they get to hear just what you just said. I'm just sitting here reveling in all the truth that you just stated at the beginning of this program, and I can't help it. You'll forgive me, but we're into 2012 now, and I want to brag on you. I want to tell all of your listeners what a privilege it is for you to listen to Dr. Stan Monteith day after day, program after program, and for me to be with you today at the beginning of 2012, Dr. Stan, to tell what my elitist sources have just told me. I feel honored.
Well, let's go back a few years, because remember when I called you, and I've forgotten whether it was 2009 when it was, but I said, everything looks like we're going to have a war with Iran. Why don't you ask Mr. Fromm, your contact within the elite, is there going to be a war with Iran? So that we had, I think, 5 carrier groups over there, and everything looked like we were going to war. And Ken Fromm laughed and said, Lindsay, there's not going to be a war now, maybe later. And I've forgotten exactly. You probably remember what he said. My inference was he said a couple of years from now, but there's not going to be a war now. It was all contrived. It was all planned. What did he tell you about a war with Iran? Was that 2009, 2010? Do you remember?
That was 2009. You called me on the phone. All of our troops are over there. The Navy was on ready. Instantaneous. Our Marines were there. Air Force, everything was ready. I was even saying myself, it looks as though we're going to have war with Iran. You were quite sure we were going to, and you called me and said, would you please ask Mr. Fromm? Of course, you knew who he was. At the time, we couldn't use his name, and I did go to him, and you're correct. He laughed over the telephone and said, no, Chaplain, it's only saber rattling. There's not going to be any war with Iran anytime soon. He said at least for 2.5 years. Well, we went by the 2.5 years. We are up to the end of that period. And not too long ago, I was contacted by the gentleman who now gives me information since Mr. Ken Fromm died about 11 months ago, I believe it was. And recently he contacted me and let me know that, yes, we do want war with Iran in the near future, but not right now. Now, whenever I say not right now, that was about a month and a half to 2 months ago when I received that. So that means that we're getting a little bit closer. My guesstimation, according to what I'm getting in the way of information or have gotten in the last 2 or 3 months, is that at least for the next 2 to 3 months, maybe 4 months, there would not be war with Iran, but they positively do want it. It is in the works. And now they're saying, watch out, it may happen.
And for those of you who have any question about this, you can go up on the Internet and look up Wesley Clark, General Wesley Clark, 4-star Army military man, West Point graduate. He's a member of the CFR. He's one of the elitists, but he gave a talk back in 2007 telling about a contact it had back in 2001, right after the initial attack on the World Trade Center. He went to the Pentagon, and one of the generals he knew called him in, and actually it was the second time they met, told him, to Wesley Clark, there was a plan at that time to take out 7 Arab nations, and he named them. Certainly there was Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, Syria, I've forgotten, certainly Yemen, but certainly Iraq and Iran. And Iran was specifically mentioned. They were going to take out 7 nations. That was the plan in 2001. And of course, you can check this out. Don't take anything I say for granted. Wesley Clark admits a military plan to have war with Iran. Now, of course, all these people out here trying to push us into a war with Iran. Oh, we got to protect Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to protect Israel. The leaders of this country want to destroy Israel. There are people at the highest levels of our government who hate Israel. And some of those people themselves are Jewish, but they belong to a group of Jews that hate Israel. In fact, one reason they want them over there in Israel is so they can get them all slaughtered when this whole thing comes about. And you must understand they're pushing for this war with Iran, which could have disastrous consequences for Israel and for America as well. And don't believe any of this propaganda about Israel running Washington, D.C. Netanyahu was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Netanyahu takes his orders from Henry Kissinger. Netanyahu does exactly what he is told. Nothing as it appears to be. Everything is illusion and delusion. We'll be back in a moment with Lindsay Williams right here at the Genesis Communication Network.
Sometimes when you're having an important spiritual conversation with a friend or loved one, time simply runs out. Now there's a place on the World Wide Web that will help you keep your friend's interest until you can meet again face to face. I'm talking about thestoryofjesus.com. Yes, that's right, thestoryofjesus.com. It's a wonderful new website that does exactly what you think it should. It tells the story of Jesus Christ. You'll find there a completely harmonized version of the 4 gospel accounts. It's available for you to browse through on your computer, download and print for a permanent reference, and you can even listen to the story on your computer or download files, which will work on your portable digital player. Tell your friends. Use it yourself. That's thestoryofjesus.com. Simple as that. thestoryofjesus.com.
Nick Wadena with Midas Resources. If you have an IRA or 401k, did you know you can turn that nest egg into a physical gold and silver nest egg? Do you know what kind of specific precious metals are allowed by law to be in retirement accounts? Did you know that you can take physical delivery of these precious metals? Would you like to know more? It's a fact. Stocks and mutual funds have been a wild ride, and many people's retirement funds have taken large hits. If you put $100,000 in gold in January of 2009, it would be worth over $200,000 today. If you put $100,000 in silver, then it would be worth over $300,000 today. As bailouts for banks and the seemingly endless printing of money continues worldwide, the value of the dollar could decline further, in turn possibly pushing gold and silver much, much higher. Protect what you work so hard for. Call me, Nick Wadena, 1-800-686-2237, extension 343, and learn what your options are. Again, that's 1-800-686-2237, extension 343. Once again, 1-800-686-2237, extension 343.
Now you can bring Berkey purification power anywhere with the Sport Berkey filtration bottle. Ideal for sporting games, camping, or boating. Or Sport Berkey is small enough to store in your glove box, so it's ideal backup for unexpected emergencies like blackouts, floods, or earthquakes. It's simply the best personal water filtration system available. So effective you can drink raw, untreated water from lakes, rivers, and streams. Unlike other sport bottles, the Sport Berkey's patented filter formulation is so powerful it removes cysts, parasites, harmful bacteria, and chemicals like herbicides and pesticides. It even reduces radon-222, lead, and other heavy metals. This lightweight, rugged 22-ounce filter is small enough to go everywhere, so take one to work and keep another in your glove box for emergencies. Get the Berkey Sport for only $39. Get 2 for $70 by calling New Millennium at 888-803-4438. Order your Berkey Sport today. That's toll-free, 888-803-4438, or order on the web at berkeywater.com.
What if Americans could have A, better health, B, a lower incidence of cancer, and C, a lower occurrence of fibrocystic disease of the breast, all from simply consuming more iodine? Nutridyne Iodine from Dr. Bill Deagle's NutriMedical.com is the answer. The toxicity of modern life is adversely impacting iodine levels. For example, Americans who are more exposed to fluoride than other populations have a desperate need for more iodine. Edgar Casey's diatomic iodine, known as Nutridyne from NutriMedical.com, is a universal pathogen killer that helps regenerate cellular energy. If you suffer from low thyroid, chronic fatigue, mitochondria function, or to just feel better, then take a few drops of Nutridyne every day. Order Nutridyne at NutriMedical.com or call 888-212-8871. That's 888-212-8871. Or go to NutriMedical.com, spelled N-U-T-R-I Medical.com. NutriMedical.com, bringing nutrition and medicine together.
The GCN Radio Network, providing the world with hard-hitting talk radio. GCN. Great talk radio starts here.
Well, Dr. Stan, our guest is Lindsay Williams. Lindsay, there's a lot of talk about a war with Iran. You picked the story up as far as from your point of view, what you think is going to happen, and then, of course, what the future holds for America financially. And certainly we know, of course, America's turned against God. There's a conspiracy against God at the highest levels of our government. They've taken God and prayer and morality out of our schools, and little wonder God is not blessing America. Go right ahead.
It is such a privilege, Dr. Stan, that God would allow me, Yahweh, whatever you would like to call those who know the Hebrew, it's such a privilege that back a number of years ago, he would allow me to have the privilege of being invited by the elite of the world to be their chaplain for a 3-year period. And knowing those people personally, sitting across the dinner table from them, talking with them one-on-one, not in my church, but on their oil field, and then keeping up and keeping in touch with these people over these 35 years. And now being able to be today on your program, Dr. Stan, and on Genesis Network, to be able to tell you what you are going to face in the near future in 2012 that was just given to me recently. And it was so startling to me until I didn't know what to do with it. I did some research, and then you and I talked off of the air about it. And, folks, you need to make preparations for the inevitable. And basically, these people now that I knew 35 years ago are in their 70s and 80s. And the best way that I can possibly explain it is that old men talk, and I believe they're literally trying to clear their conscience, is the reason that they tell me so many of these things, because this one, really there was no reason whatsoever for me to get this. And in the course of a conversation, something was said, and it was basically said like this: if you'd like to know what's going to happen next, go to this place. Now, I'm going to give it to you right now, and then I'll give you the background to it. And everyone in the listening audience, I hope that you have a pencil and paper and that you'll write this down. I want you to check it. You can go to the web and get it for yourself. This is no secret. And when it was given to me, I had to wade through it also. And basically it was said to me, go and look at the speech that was given by Governor Ben Bernanke. He was then governor of the Federal Reserve, one of the governors. He was not chairman yet. It was given on November the 21st, 2002, and then Governor Ben Bernanke, who now is the chairman of the Federal Reserve, he gave a speech on November the 21st of 2002 to the National Economist Club of Washington, D.C. You can read his speech on the web. Now, I'll warn you in advance. It's banker's jargon. It'll be difficult to wade through. It's pages of it. But when this was given to me and they said, go to his speech and you will know what's going to happen next, I did. And, folks, I must admit to you, I am having a very difficult time trying to put all this in perspective in light of what we are facing now in 2012. I had made the statement, Dr. Stan, on your program. In fact, I think right here on Genesis Network on your program not too long ago, that 2012 will be the most startling, the most unusual, and definitely the most eventful year in 2,000 years, according to what I'm getting from the elite. I say that with no hesitation whatsoever. And one of those events is going to be this one that I'm dealing with, which was just given to me days ago. And again, those of you who have just gotten pencils and paper, the date of the speech was November the 21st, 2002. It was then Governor Ben Bernanke before the National Economist Club. And in his speech, he basically said this. Now, the rest of it, except for one quote that I will actually read you later in the program from his speech, because it literally will cause you to, you'll think 3 or 4 times about all of your future in 2012, and you'll be making some very definite decisions as a result of this quote. And here again, now this is not Lindsey Williams talking. You are hearing, as they said to me, go to this speech of Governor Ben Bernanke, and you will know what's going to happen next. You're going to hear it from the elite themselves. Now, in the past, you oftentimes have heard me say something on a program like this, Dr. Stan's program, and you've had to take me at face value at what I said, merely on the fact that I said that the elite gave it to me. This time, you don't have to take Lindsey Williams at face value. You can go and read this for yourself, and then you'll know exactly what they were telling me whenever they said, go and read his speech, and you'll know what's going to happen next. Basically, I'll put it for a few moments. I'll put it into everyday common horse sense language that I can understand, that I think you'll be able to grasp without any problem. And then whenever you read his speech, you're going to have to wade through bankers' terms. But please do it. I had to read through the speech once. I read it twice. I read it 3 times. I read it 4 times. I deciphered it all. I went to some other people, and I said, what is it saying? Some people read his speech and came back and said, we didn't have the slightest idea how important this was. In fact, one of the talk show hosts right here on Genesis just the other day said, I knew the speech was there, but he said, I didn't have the slightest idea how important this is. This will be the greatest impact that will take place in your entire lifetime. In fact, Dr. Stan, I think you're in your 70s. Don't tell me your age, and I'm in my 70s also. But nobody, not even myself or you, are old enough to have had this happen in our lifetime. But you, every person in the listening audience, you are going to face something. And it may very well be during the year 2012. They've not given me a date for this. They won't give me a date. They just merely said this is the next thing that's going to happen on the agenda. And you are going to face something that we as individuals have never faced in our lifetime, and is going to impact your lifestyle so much. Keep in mind that during the Great Depression of 1929 through 1933, those years, there were people who made great fortunes because they believed what was going to happen. They took it at face value. They made preparations, and as a result, they came out on top, even through the Great Depression.
Well, I think it's important. This is the so-called helicopter speech, where, of course, Ben Bernanke refers to a speech given by Alan Greenspan talking about we can fight and prevent deflation by simply printing money and throwing it out of a helicopter. And what they're talking about simply is massively increasing the money supply, and this brings prosperity for a time. But then the prices rise, so you've got to print more money because, after all, you've got prosperity. You've destroyed the value of the currency partway. Well, you've got to print more money and destroy even more of the value of the currency to keep the economy going. And then each time you have to print more money, and you have to print it sooner. And this is the so-called helicopter concept of destroying the value of the currency of the United States. That's really, in essence, what this is talking about, isn't it?
Yes, Dr. Stan, and we'll give the 5 points when we come back.
All right, fine. Well, I guess it's Lindsey Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, if the elite are pointing Lindsey to this speech, it's a very important speech. Remember, it's a helicopter speech. The idea, we can always prevent deflation by throwing money out of a helicopter, but in the process, we destroy the currency and impoverish the people.
Sure, there are winter specials, and then there are super winter specials at HerbalHealer.com. Battle through this cold and flu season with powerful, natural, and safe flu fighters like elderberry power, Origacillin, olive leaf capsules, grapefruit seed extract, and Resper 8, all specially priced during the winter sale at HerbalHealer.com. Don't forget vitamin D3 this winter. Right now, HerbalHealer.com has 120 soft gels, 1,000 IUs, sale priced at only $9. We also have a super winter special on 6 homeopathic liquid detoxes: whole body detox, liver detox, kidney detox, lymph detox, brain detox, and lung detox. All liquid detoxes, regularly $26.95, are now just $20. HerbalHealer.com. As always, new customers get a free 128-page catalog with your order. Log on now and save big when you hit the winter specials at HerbalHealer.com. Healing the world with nature, one person at a time, since 1988.
Black Berkey purification elements are more powerful than any gravity filter element on the market. These awesome elements are used in Berkey purification systems, and they can also be used to upgrade most other gravity filtration systems. They can purify raw, untreated water by removing pathogenic bacteria, cysts, parasites, trihalomethanes, and chemicals such as chlorine, atrazine, styrene, and MTBE. These elements also reduce unwanted heavy metals such as lead, mercury, and aluminum. Unbelievably, they even remove small microparticulate from water like food coloring particles. Yet, they leave in the nutritional minerals that your body needs. Moreover, because they are recleanable, Black Berkey elements are more economical than the standard disposable elements, providing fresh, pure water for less than 2 cents per gallon.
Get a 2-pack for only $99 or a 4-pack for only $188 by calling New Millennium at 888-803-4438. That's 888-803-4438 or order on the web at BerkeyWater.com.
Long-range patrol ration entrees. If you know survival, you know LRPs are the undisputed king of military rations. Hands down the best for your bug-out bag or survival pack. To go farther, faster, and carry more food, there's nothing better than a BrickPack LRP cold weather ration entree. Nothing. Now, the Freeze Dry Guy is offering a limited-time deal on thousands of fresh LRP entrees. We're talking a menu of tasty and nutritious beef stew, chicken and rice, chili mac with beef, spaghetti and meat sauce with 20 entrees per case. These fresh 2011 LRPs are U.S. government contract overruns, perfect for long-term storage. But they're going fast at freezedryguy.com. Far superior to MREs, long-range patrol entrees are about a third the weight of an MRE, with about a third more meat than the finest commercial freeze-dried entrees. Ask about multi-case discounts and free shipping when you call 866-404-3663 today. That's 866-404-3663 or freezedryguy.com. Your source for survival food in an uncertain world.
What happened, man? You used to be energetic, happy, and wow, did the ladies love you. Now you fall asleep on the couch, irritable and out of shape. Don't be that guy. Call now for a risk-free trial of Ageless Male, a natural supplement shown to raise testosterone by 61% and maintain healthy, normal levels. No injections, no appointments. With healthy testosterone levels, you can feel that energy again, that great outlook again, and yes, even a healthy sex drive. Right now, you can try Ageless Male risk-free. There's nothing to lose, guys. If you're a man who's noticed changes in your body, your mood, your sex life, call now for a risk-free trial of Ageless Male. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-497-8345. Don't wait another day. Just call 1-800-497-8345. That's 1-800-497-8345.
America's #1 source for independent talk radio for over a decade. We are the GCN Radio Network.
Well, Dr. Stan here at the Genesis Communication Network, and our guest, of course, is Lindsay Williams. And before we go on, Lindsay, I wanted to tell our listeners how they can get to your website and get the information that you have available, and then we'll let you pick up with more of the story about the helicopter speech. Go ahead.
Just a few weeks ago, Dr. Stan, we produced a new DVD series. I knew from what I was being told by the elite that there was some very unusual and eventful things to take place in the year 2012, and would definitely be the most eventful year in 2,000 years. And I said, I must tell the American people, I give all 5 of the agendas that the elite told me that will be taking place in 2012. If you know what to do, you can be victorious over the New World Order. So the title of our 3-hour DVD series, 3 DVDs, is 2012, the beginning of the end. And if you wish to get it, and especially after you hear what I'm just saying about Ben Bernanke, you need to make preparations for the inevitable. And we tell you how you can do that in the course of this 3-hour DVD. You can go, if you wish, on the web to www.prophecyclub.com, PROPHECYCLUB.com, or our toll-free lines, 24 hours a day. We have operators on them anytime, day or night. You may call. The toll-free number is 1-888-799-6111. Again, keep in mind that's 24 hours a day, 888-799-6111. Now, it is so important to you to know what is going to happen with the Federal Reserve. Ben Bernanke, when he was then governor of the Federal Reserve in 2002, made a speech before the National Economists Club, and he said, if I am ever the chairman of the Federal Reserve and we have a financial problem in America, and he knew it was coming, I mean, this has been planned for years. Exactly what Dr. Stan said a few moments ago at the beginning of the program. None of this is new to them. They all knew it was going to happen. When Ben Bernanke gave this speech in 2002, he already knew what was planned behind closed doors. I need to put it this way, folks. One of the things I learned when I lived with the elite is that they're going to tell you everything they're going to do before they do it. They always. This is part of their code of ethics, is to tell you what they're going to do before they do it. And this is basically what they said to me recently when they said, go to this speech and you'll know what's going to happen next. And after it happens, you know what the elite are going to do? They're going to come back and say, we told you, why didn't you listen? So now I'm saying, as kindly and politely as I can, please listen to what Ben Bernanke said he was going to do, because later on I'll come back on this program and say, I told you, why didn't you listen? Now, he said I'll do 5 things if I become the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and he said there is a financial problem, a depression, a recession, whatever it may be, drastic. He said, if I face this great financial part of America, he said, I will do 5 things. Are you ready? Pencils and paper handy. I'll give them to you quickly. He said, number 1, I will take interest rates to 0. Now, as you know, Ben Bernanke did become the chairman of the Federal Reserve. He was elected, and most people think that the reason he was elected the chairman of the Federal Reserve is because of this speech that he gave back in 2002. The elite was so pleased with what he said, and they put him in as chairman of the Federal Reserve to carry these things out. Now, he has done this in the exact order in which he said he would do it. It has already happened. The first 4 of the things he said he was going to do. Please think for a moment back 3, 4 years back, 5 years back, and see what he did. Number 1, he said, I will take interest rates to 0. That's the first thing he did when the bubble burst on the real estate market. The banks got in trouble. We saw the unemployment rate climbing very rapidly, and the very first thing after he became the chairman of the Federal Reserve, he took his interest rates to, for all practical purposes, 0. 0.3, what difference does it make? It's down to 0. The second thing he said he would do, and please write these down, because I want you to go to the speech, and as you read it, take his word for it. This is the elite speaking. This is not Lindsey Williams giving a prediction I heard from them. You'll hear it from him himself. Okay, he said, secondly, I will buy securities from the banks to expand the federal balance sheet. He did exactly that. They bought General Motors. They bought every kind of security from banks. They bought securities from foreign banks. And you know what the Fed's holding today? The Fed is holding the most worthless paper that you could ever imagine. They're holding derivatives. They're holding debt. They're holding worthless paper that nobody else on the face of the earth would want. And as a result, they're saying, oh, look at our balance sheet. Everything is going along fine because we have all of this. Oh, yes, we gave out American dollars. We dished it out by the billions and at some points almost trillions. But look what we have in return. Our balance sheet is looking great. That was the second thing he did. After interest rates to 0, he bought these securities, and they're still doing it, from foreign banks. Oh, I know you heard what happened on Christmas. No, I doubt I doubt that anyone, maybe 1 or 2 on this program might have caught it. Do you realize that on Christmas Day, while everyone was having a great time enjoying the day, that on Christmas Day, the Federal Reserve of the United States of America gave $600 billion to the European Union. Just gave it to them outright. No approval of Congress, nothing whatsoever. Go back and look. Oh, you're going to have to look this one up to prove it for yourself. $600 billion on Christmas Day alone while everybody was enjoying Christmas. Every bit of this is a part of this. Okay, I'll buy securities from the banks to expand the federal balance sheet. Number 3. He has already done that one, by the way, number 1 and 2. He said, number 3, he said, I will increase the money supply. $1 trillion. 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 $1 t Now, you have no problem knowing that he's done that. He increased it drastically. The prices went up high speed. Number 4, he said, I will buy our country's debt. Oh, my goodness. I think back 2.5 years ago when Mr. Ken Fromm was alive. I'll never forget what he said one day. This man gave me so much wisdom back in those days when he was alive. He passed away about 9-10 months ago, well, 11 months ago now, I guess it was. He gave me, I'll never forget this phrase. He said, Chaplain, when the Federal Reserve begins to buy its own securities, he said it's all over for the dollar. I didn't know what he was saying. I know now he was trying to tell me something, but I couldn't understand the depth of what he was saying. Now, whenever the Federal Reserve begins to buy our own securities, that's T-bills, buying back the securities that others aren't buying in the world because they're scared to death of the American dollar. And within the past 12 months, the Federal Reserve, in 12 months' time, since they began it a year ago, have bought approximately $3 trillion worth of their own American debt. The Federal Reserve right now holds as much of its own paper in the form of debt of this country as China holds. China holds approximately $3 trillion of our paper, and the Federal Reserve, within 12 months, has purchased back its own paper somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 trillion. That is exactly what Bernanke was talking about. In step number 4, he said I would buy our country's debt, QE1, QE2. They haven't called it QE3 yet, but for all practical purposes, they're doing it. Now, you're ready. Here it goes. The number 5 has not been done yet. And this is what they were saying when they said to go to Bernanke's speech, and you will know what's going to happen next. I am warning you. I am pleading with you. I beg you. You must realize what is coming next. 4 things he's done precisely, exactly as he said he would do it. He's done it so intricately until you definitely can understand how that number 5 is right now in the works.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
For many decades, these great United States have had security and plenty because of the thousands of small farms which supply our every nutritional need. For generations, these dedicated men and women have supplied us with fresh food at reasonable cost. There is a chance that our food supply could be cut off in the event of a national emergency. You should carefully consider planting your own home garden. A seed bank from SeedCatalog.com will make it almost easy. A seed bank contains every seed you'll need to plant a basic survival garden. All heirloom and all ready for you to create that special, necessary outdoor resource. Where can you find out more? Call 888-866-9132 or go to SeedCatalog.com. Call 888-866-9132 right now and order seed for this year's garden. SeedCatalog.com.
Jason Lewis here with the holidays just around the corner. Be sure to consider the greatest gift you can give to your friends and family. Peace of mind. That's why I choose WiseFoodStorage.com. WiseFoodStorage.com offers delicious ready-made meals like cheesy lasagna, savory stroganoff, and pasta Alfredo that are packaged for freshness in individual metal Mylar pouches and carry a 25-year shelf life. And they're ready to eat in minutes. Simply add hot water. Request a free entree sample today at WiseFoodStorage.com. And for a limited time, get free shipping and 10% off of your order. That's right, a free entree, free shipping, and 10% off any order. Just use promo code LEWIS. Call 855-FOODWISE. That's 855-366-3947. Or visit WiseFoodStorage.com. That's WISE, W-I-S-E, FoodStorage.com. Gourmet emergency food at the best price and the greatest gift you can give to the ones you love this holiday season.
Now you can bring Berkey purification power anywhere with the Sport Berkey filtration bottle. Ideal for sporting games, camping, or boating, or Sport Berkey is small enough to store in your glove box, so it's ideal backup for unexpected emergencies like blackouts, floods, or earthquakes. It's simply the best personal water filtration system available. So effective you can drink raw, untreated water from lakes, rivers, and streams. Unlike other Sport bottles, the Sport Berkey's patented filter formulation is so powerful it removes cysts, parasites, harmful bacteria, and chemicals like herbicides and pesticides. It even reduces radon-222, lead, and other heavy metals. This lightweight, rugged 22-ounce filter is small enough to go everywhere, so take one to work and keep another in your glove box for emergencies. Get the Berkey Sport for only $39. Get two for $70 by calling New Millennium at 888-803-4438. Order your Berkey Sport today. That's toll-free, 888-803-4438, or order on the web at berkeywater.com.
Digestive health is the key to wellness and elimination of toxins. That bears repeating. Digestive health is the key to wellness and elimination of toxins. And Pro EM1 Daily Probiotic Cleanse is the key to digestive health. Pro EM1 is a powerful liquid probiotic, strong enough to cleanse, gentle enough to use every day. Pro EM1 is dairy, wheat, and soy free, contains all natural and certified organic ingredients, contains no preservatives or animal products, supports a healthy digestive and immune system, supports weight loss, improves absorption of food nutrients, aids in controlling yeast infections, is never freeze-dried, and uses 3 groups of live, viable, beneficial microbes to cleanse and remove toxins. Order Pro EM1 Daily Probiotic Cleanse at Teraganix.com, spelled Teraganix.com, Teraganix.com. Or call toll-free 866-369-3678. That's 866-369-3678. Pro EM1, the raw probiotic.
Are you tired of searching for great talk radio?
Something more important.
Search no more. We are the GCN Radio Network.
Well, Dr. Stan back here at the Genesis Communication Network, and suddenly our guest is Lindsay Williams. We're talking about this plan. The plan is the destruction of the value of our currency. Certainly, when the Federal Reserve is buying up its own debt, when they're turning out trillions of dollars, we don't know how much money they've dispensed overseas. We know that they're in the process of doing swaps with the European Central Bank, and then that the dollars are being used to buy up the debt of nations over in Europe. But what happens, when the countries over there begin to reject the dollar? You're going to have trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that nobody wants, and they start dumping them on the market, and they come home here. And remember, money has its value because of its scarcity. When you can go out and print monopoly money, why? Because it has no value. So it has to have something solid behind it, and that is trust. But people throughout the world, and so the leaders of this world, what I call the Brotherhood of Darkness, are losing trust in the dollar. And one of these days, these trillions of dollars are going to come back, and when they do, they will simply destroy the value of the annuities and the bank accounts and the CDs and the pension funds and the insurance policies and the savings of all of the Americans who've been foolish enough to keep their wealth in dollars. So Mr. Fromm talked to Lindsay about our money, and Lindsay had said, well, what do you mean your money? And Fromm laughed and said, I'm talking about gold and silver. We use gold and silver. We don't use paper money. And you go back and you read the document. It's a fraudulent document, but what it says is true. It's called the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. It was written by the people who hated Israel, and of course it was an effort to put the responsibility for all of the incredible things going on the shoulders of the Jewish people, and to cover up the existence of this truly satanic world movement. But they talk about how they will use gold and silver and get the public to use paper money until it collapses. Go right ahead, Lindsay.
Ben Bernanke said after he had done the first 4 things that the next and final item would be, I hope you're ready, he said, I will devalue the dollar. Now, what you're going to hear right now are not my words. They are the words of Ben Bernanke himself, one of the elite of the elitist. You recognize him as the chairman of the Federal Reserve. I'm going to read you his own words. Quote, "It's worthy noting that there have been times when exchange rate policy has been an effective weapon. A striking example from U.S. history is Franklin Delano Roosevelt's 40% devaluation of the dollar in 1933 and 34. People, please go and read all of Ben Bernanke's speech. He said, and he's already done 4 things. He did it precisely, exactly as he said he would do it, with no change. And he said, number 5, there will be a devaluation of the dollar. Do you have the slightest idea what that means? You will not be warned. You will not be told in advance. The banks will close down on Friday afternoon. You do not know what's going to happen. Monday morning, the banks will wake up and they will say it has been devalued. I'm even going to tell you what percentage it will be devalued. He stated in his speech, he said the currency will be devalued by 40%. That means if you have $10,000 in the bank, as of Monday morning, your bank account will be worth not $10,000 any longer. It'll be 60. You devaluing 40%. Folks, are you hearing me? The elite will tell you after it's all over with, we told you so, why didn't you listen? That you have between the mattress. I'm glad that you have something there for a rainy day. But do you realize that Ben Bernanke said in his own words that there would be a devaluation of 40%? He has done the first 4 things he said he was going to do. He has one only left to do. They said to me, go to his speech and you'll find out what's going to happen next. I do not have a date. I wish I did. He has not given me one. I don't know that they will. It will be without warning. And the currency of the United States of America, if the elite have their way, the currency of the United States of America will be devalued by 40% because of the financial problem that we have in America and abroad right now. And in the speech, please, I hope you'll read how he did it. He said that in 1933-34, that Franklin Delano Roosevelt, back in those days, they were still using gold. They had 1-ounce gold pieces, took them around in their pocket with them, and silver dollars were common to be used at the grocery store and the hardware store. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he states it right in his speech, Bernanke does. He said, Roosevelt said, bring in your $20 gold pieces, and we will give you a piece of paper that says it is a gold certificate. And you can go back to the bank if you'd like and get $20 worth of gold for it. And they did. The Americans were loyal to their country back in those days. They took in their $20 gold pieces, their 1 ounce of gold. That's what's marked right on them, even today, $20. And he gave them a piece of paper. Oh, the scoundrel. Only months later, without any warning whatsoever, he said the price of gold now is $35 an ounce. Do you realize that person wanted to get that $20 gold piece back again, that then they had to pay $35 for it, not $20 if they went back to the bank and tried to buy it back again? It would cost them $35. This is devaluation. It is outright dishonesty. They knew they were going to do it at the time they asked for people to bring in their $20 gold pieces. That is 40% devaluation from $20 to $35, Dr. Stan.
Well, we're out of time. Lindsay, thank you so very much for sharing. But, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to steal the value of your life savings. They're going to steal your pension, your insurance policy, everything you have worked your whole life for. The whole idea is to impoverish the American people, do away with the middle class, and of course then we will have a very rich, and it won't be just 1%, it'll be 0.1%, and most of the rest of the people, those of course not the military and the police, who are going to enforce the police state that is coming, so that they know exactly what's coming down the line. Let's hope that enough Americans will understand this is not happening by accident. It is planned this way. God bless you. Thanks very much, Lindsay. And parting thought before I let you go.
2012, the beginning of the end. We give you answers as to what you can do about this. You positively can protect yourself if you start now. Go to www.prophecyclub.com or go to our toll-free number, 888-799-6111. 2012, the beginning of the end. There's only one place that you can protect yourself. I believe and am led to believe by what the elite have told me recently, gold will go up the next morning within the next 24 hours after the dollar is devaluated by 40%. Gold will go up in proportion to the devaluation of the dollar. I am not a gold dealer. You can go to Dr. Stan. He can tell you where to get it. You need to make preparation. You must secure your assets immediately. And Mr. Fromm said if it's written on a piece of paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. Folks, I am begging you, take preparation immediately. You can protect yourself. You do not have to lose on this. You can actually win because their currency will go up proportionally to the devaluation of the dollar, Dr. Stan.
We're going to have to let you go. God bless. Thanks very much, Lindsay. We'll talk to you later. And this is Dr. Stan. And if you haven't read my book, who's really behind this? Is it simply, is this a Jewish conspiracy? Is this a Jesuit conspiracy? Is it a Vatican conspiracy? Is it a Masonic conspiracy? You need to get my book, The Brotherhood of Darkness, to find who's really behind this. And we give you the documentation. We give you what they say. The Brotherhood of Darkness. You get it by calling 1-800-544-8927. 1-800-544-8927. If you don't have the funds to buy the book, go to our website, radioliberty.com. Go to the section on videos, scroll down to the first video there, and you can hear me talk, or you can stand to hear me talk for 2 hours, and we give you the whole story. But there is no question, I've been studying this for 50 years, and the longer I live, the more I'm convinced that certainly God does rule in the affairs of men, and there really is a group of evil people out there who would destroy this nation, and they're doing a good job. They control the military. They control the banks, the corporations. They control the political parties, both Republican and Democrat. They control the educational process. They control the media. They control the tax-exempt foundations. They control the reality of most Americans, and you've got to learn to think independently. Our number, 1-800-544-8927. 1-800-544-8927. Our webpage, radioliberty.com. That's radioliberty.com, where you can hear our programs. If you're on the Internet, broadband, 24 hours a day, please pray for Radio Liberty, our provision and protection.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. If you'd like to listen to GCN programs on the go, I have great news. GCN has created a Droid and iPhone application, and it's free. Just as easy as going to GCNlive.com, click on the banner, and download. Before you know it, you'll be listening to your favorite hard-hitting GCN shows, live or on demand, right on your Droid or iPhone, 24/7 and on the go. So download the Droid and iPhone app free by clicking on the banner at GCNlive.com. Thanks again for listening to GCNlive.com. Again, that's GCNlive.com. We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit and carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Ted Anderson, I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.